studying and better understanding soils and how soil properties can influence and make a large difference in how important it's the base of our societies, really. I like this quote here from Paul Harvey: "Despite all our accomplishments, we owe our existence to a 6-inch layer of topsoil and the fact that it rains." 6 to 12 inches. We know now today that roots can go much deeper, but really that top 6 inches has a lot to do with many variations. There's about 1,300 soil series in Texas. That's not soil types, that's groups of soil types. There's about 1,300 in the state. And each soil type is recognized as unique, just like humans. We may all have some similarities, but we all have something different that makes us unique. And each soil is the same. Soil type are that way. Soil formation, we need to understand, is influenced by many factors. By the parent material, okay, the bedrock that it originated from, the local climate, and that climate's impact on the bedrock and on the soil, how much the macroorganisms such as moles and gophers that some of you might find in your sandier soils, or the microorganisms that we don't often see and don't often think about. And the final influence on soil formation is time. We know that, I think the old rule is it takes about 100 years to develop or form new soil from parent material. It takes about 100 years to form about the thickness of a dime of new soil. So when we lose maybe an inch of soil in one heavy rainfall, that you could say will take maybe 1,000 years to replace, just because it's so slow to form soil. But we didn't always know this. So we need to go back to understand the soil survey. This is the information that we'll be using, information from the soil survey. So prior soil in the U.S. and Europe and abroad were typically geologists. These are folks that studied rocks. They tried to classify the soils based on the types of rock they found in the soil. They thought whatever rock was found there, that's an indication of the type of soil that developed. And we know today that identifying the types of rocks and soil can help classify the soil. That's not necessarily going to point us in the direction of the information they had. There were disagreements about how soil should be classified. Should it be classified on the physical properties, the size of soil particles, the amount of water that the soil can hold, or should it be classified more on the chemical properties? What is the pH of the soil? What is the native fertility? How much nutrients does the soil hold? They also thought maybe it should be based on vegetation. So there was disagreement in all these ways they thought they might classify. The horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse type of thing. What I'm saying is it was a little bit of a struggle at first to get it grappled on what exactly they needed to know about the soil. So if you can imagine, early 1900s, surveyors going out, horse and buggy, or maybe some of the first vehicles, and taking measurements and taking samples by true manpower. The first way they started classifying soils was by texture. And so we should all recognize this classification. Texture is the percent of sand, silt, and clay particles, the smallest size particles of soil that we know. They started giving local names to these soils. That became their second category of classification. So we'll see later on as we start to look at soil maps, they have names such as Hallettsville, fine sandy loam. So they classified it on the texture, fine sandy loam, but they also used local names to give it, again, they recognized the uniqueness of soils in a particular location.